Hi everyone. Hi. It's been a while since I wanted to share this story, and I'm so happy to share it now. Actually, my life is very challenging. Over the past 11 years, I've been homeless. I've been from parish to parish, from town to town. Just about, I've been to open lots, I've been to lots of different places, old buildings, abandoned places, just trying to rest my head for a night or two. It's been really, really challenging. And it's not like I have no education. I have a diploma in biblical studies from the Assemblies of God Bible College. I have a certificate in supervisory management from the Montego Bay Community College, and recently I completed a level 1 certificate in customer service with City and Guilds. So I do have a little bit of what you would say literacy or knowledge. So, I'm not in the position where I can say, well, because I lack education, I don't get the opportunities that I desire. Right? If I should say that, that would be an outright lie. I do have a little bit of education, as you know, right? But personally, have been turned away by employers, I've been turned down by the media. And I'm going to share my story. I'm going to be open with this because I want you to get it, okay? I want you to understand it rather, okay? So, I started writing when I was a teenager, long before I could fluently read, read fluently and all that. I started writing around 2005, 2006. That's like the time that everything came to reality that I'm gonna write and everything and whatever. I lost everything at the age, I think, 22. It was in early 2014 when I lost everything by the hand of my father, by the instructions of my father. He directed one of his common law wives to destroy all my intellectual property. And then I was enslaved during the process. I was abused. I went through a lot of traumatic issues, and then I was left on the streets to hunt for survival. It was very challenging, very, very challenging. Since then, I've been trying everything possible to stay alive. Everything possible, but legal stuff. I don't join any gang. I'm not into drugs. I don't even smoke and stuff like that. I don't join murderers or whatever you may want to call them. I try to live as peaceful with everyone as possible. So I'll try to, if I find a breadfruit tree that's on an open lot and I can cook the breadfruit or roast the breadfruit, then I'll do that to survive. If I find a jelly tree that's on an open lot that I can survive from eating, few hard jellies, yet I think, that's okay. But I don't invade people's property, especially against their instructions and stuff like that. Don't do things like that. So, during life, I had it hard growing up. I was abandoned at a very early age by my parents. I was abandoned and I became a ward of the state. So I grew up between foster care and children's homes. So growing up was pretty tough. It was exceedingly tough, But since recently, over the past 11 years, not only to say recently, I turned back to my skill as a writer and I decided to write again because I had paused. In 2013, I had paused writing books. So everything was destroyed in early 2014. And then I decided that I wanted to go back into writing books, writing new, music and poetry, because I was writing music over time. I was writing poetry and, I was performing and all of that. And so I wanted to do it. So I now have 194 books in my career, 194 manuscripts in my career. And I'm being honest with you. 194. Some is not all the books are big. Some are small, some are medium, and some are large. Yes, some might have over 20,000 words. Some might have over 10 to 12,000 words. Some might have just over 5 to 8,000 words. And then you have quote collections that will have just like a few hundred or a few thousand words or whatever. So it's not like every one of them are like big books and stuff like that. And I've already mentioned about my education, right? So I have a little thing up my belt or up my sleeve that I've achieved that I can look at and say, you know, it's not all bad. I've achieved something in life. Since 2014, I've been trying to find ways to preserve my newly written scripts, my books. All right, so since 2014, I've launched out on a campaign to publish and to get my books protected so I don't end up losing them again. Right? And so, because of my plan, I prematurely release over 30 plus books, more than 3 dozen books online on lulu.com on the internet. And I can tell you, you know, it wasn't easy releasing those books. I don't make money from those books, by the way. And I don't tell people to buy them because they were not professionally done. Those are books that were written and released without editing. So, and I say professionally, rather when a book is written, it goes through editing, you know, it goes through all the process of formatting, of proofreading, of you know, all of those things must be done for me to say it's okay, you can go ahead and buy it. So because of that, I said that I'm not going to promote the book for people to buy it. I'm just going to talk about it like I'm talking about it now. So I have currently in store on lulu.com displaying 38 books for me, right? I realized that I in no way I can't do this by myself. In no way I can't. Right now I'm homeless. As I became homeless as I said, in early 2014 when everything was destroyed and I began to hunt survival, you know, I became homeless. And so I'm homeless still today. I'm still homeless. I contacted the media and I must say kudos to the Western Mirror. They highlighted my plight and my desire to publish a poetry book back in a couple years ago, you know, while I was on the streets in Montego Bay, St. James. And I must also big up Roots 96.1 FM radio station for highlighting my poetry career live. And that happened August 3rd, 2015. I remember clearly, yeah. Recently, I've been trying to get more help to publish. More help so I can, you know, move into greater success and achieve far more, you know, in my life. But to be honest with you, it's challenging. I've been turned away by employers. I've been turned down by the media. A couple years ago, I was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder. Not schizophrenia, sort of a hybrid of schizophrenia. Schizoaffective disorder, split personalities and all of that. First, I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder, right? So I'm a person with disability. But I don't blame my disability, right? I tried to go beyond my disability to get as much opportunities as possible and to work in whatever area there is that I'm able to work, to perform in. Okay? Now, when I approach employers today, employers will say to me, yes, this is an opportunity for you. And they'll be like, do you have anything that you want to say before we proceed? And I'm like, well, not every employer will say that, but they'll, in my own words, you know, but all will find a way to find out what's up? What's up with you? You know, you want to work with us. And so I would be upfront. And I'm always upfront, always honest. To tell employers that I I go to the doctor once per month on a Wednesday, and I'm going to ask for that Wednesday every single month because I have to take an injection. I have to get an injection, and I have to update my prescription. I have to collect my medication, and I have to take them in order to stay sober. Right? I didn't tell them about the sober part, but of course in order to stay sober. Right? So most of the books that I have, I wrote them long before I was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder. In fact, I think it's only 1 or 2 books I wrote after my diagnosis. And remember, I told you I have 194 books in my current writing career. Yeah. So I would be upfront and I would say, listen, I have schizoaffective disorder. No, I would be like, I have to go to the clinic once per month on a Wednesday. If they wanted more, if they request more details, I says, well, I have schizoaffective disorder and I have to go to get the injection and to get medication and all of that. Because of that, and being homeless, because, they ask you where you live and all that, and I'll be like, I'm staying at a rehab center, and they'll be like, where is your home? Are you living at the rehab center? And I'll be like, yes. What type of center is it? I'll be like, well, it's a center that helps homeless people. And so I'm homeless, and they offered help to me, and I accept it. And so they will go deeper and deeper, right? Until they would say, we'll call you. But of course, I know they ain't going to call me. They ain't going to call me. You know why? Because of my mental disability and because I'm homeless. They lack the will to even think to say, I have potential. They will admit, some of them will admit it, that I have potential. But the real truth about it is they're not going to hire me because of my mental disability. So that kind of pushed me away far to try to find something that's out of my league. Right now I'm a street sweeper. They call it environmental warden, and I'm sweeping the streets every single day, 5 days a week, right? And I make a little money from that. Not a lot. It's not my dream job, but there's nothing else available. Why? Because people would question me about my diagnosis, question me about my address, and I'll be like, well, there's nothing I can do to change that. But that does not define my potential and who I am and what I'm capable of doing. I am fully qualified. I'm successful in many things, and I believe that with the help and with the support, I can perform and deliver just about like anybody else. Let's go to the media section. I thought that I could reach out to the media, do an interview, and they release an article on my behalf in which they would say, well, listen, or they would say to the tune of this, well, Amelia is a Jamaican, she's a writer, she needs help, and she would be happy if you could help her, whatever, and this is what she has done. She has written this amount of books, and it's important for her to get help at this time because she wants to become independent, and it's pretty tough for her to do that without the help and without the support, right? I thought they would just release an article. Simple. They asked me for an interview. I went in for the interview for the Star, the Jamaican Star. And when I went in for the interview, they interviewed me, but I told them the whole story, including the fact that I have a mental disability. I'm not gonna hide it. I'm honestly not gonna hide it because it's obvious. It's obvious. I've shared it before and over and over and over. Who knows? This must be on maybe 1 million different platforms around the world. I don't know. But I've shared this over and over again. I have nothing to hide. Absolutely nothing to hide. And because I talk about my mental disability, the Star refused to help me. They turned me away. They turned me down. Now I waited a couple of years to pass, and I contacted the Jamaican Gleaner company. And the Gleaner company is going to let me know, send us copies of 5 of your books. and a summary of your story, and I did that. I did that. I didn't hesitate, right? I did. I sent it to them, and they sent a reply to me saying they have found out that I had already reached out to someone from the Star, and I'm going to say this in my own words, but I have the words that they said it in. I have that in record, by the way. Yeah, but in my own words, we found out that you've contacted someone from the Star, and they did not go or wish to go further in helping you, and we will follow their guidance. In other words, they are going to not help me, just like the Star not help me. So they turned me down. Yeah. So now I'm here, I'm struggling. I'm at this rehab center in Kingston, and I'm trying to think if I'm going to rent somewhere. I'm not going to have enough money to rent somewhere to move on. If I'm going to make it with my writing career, it's not going to be possible unless I get the support of the media. And so it's kind of looking hopeless rather. It's kind of looking hopeless. I've never committed a crime. I don't say I'm always innocent or perfect. For a better term, I think that would be good. I won't say I'm perfect. But I've tried absolutely everything to remain relevant in my writings and everything I do. I'm also a mentor. I've been working as a mentor for a very good company in Jamaica. Volunteer, by the way. Yeah. For over 3 years. I think 4 years now. Yeah. I'm a street sweeper for almost 4 years. It's going 4 years. In November, I'll make 4 years. That's November of this year. Yeah. And I've done other jobs. And I've performed at the highest standard there is. Right? So it's not a matter of performance. People may ask me, or people do ask me, what's your worst episode? Worst episode? Not because I have schizoaffective disorder. That doesn't mean I have a worst episode. That doesn't mean I'm going to not perform. That doesn't mean I can't perform. That doesn't mean in any way that I'm not a potential person, a person of great achievements. And as I said, it's just a little speck. I'm not the most brilliant person. I just have a little knowledge. I happened to get it while I was trying to find myself. if I may just put it that way. So because I've been to school in quite a few parishes in Jamaica. Move around based on circumstances. Yeah. Like in 2017 I became a student at St. Christopher's Nursing Academy in December 2016, I think it was. And in 2017, I had to flee Western Jamaica. I left my studies and everything, all because of death threats. All because of death threats. So, yeah, circumstances have me running all over the place. But people, and I don't mean death threats because I'm involved in any scamming or any illegal activity. No. It was death threats, and I don't know what the full story behind the threats coming. I don't know the full story. All I know is I got few stuff packed, and I head to Kingston, and that's it. I've been in Kingston. I've been all around over, but I'm spending most time in Kingston since then. Right? Most time in Kingston since then. So, personally, I need help. I'm trying even to get a manager, somebody who would be able to manage my career. And even if it's split 60-40, I'll take 40%, you take 60. Or if you give me 30%, you take 70, covering all expenses in terms of travel and, book launch arrangement and everything. I'm into music. I do music. I would love to record some albums. I already have hundreds of songs. If I can get a management that can manage all of this and push me forward, I would be so grateful. I need a laptop. Stuff like that. I can't write without a laptop. Can't edit without a laptop. Right now I'm stuck using my cell phones. And I have to depend on them. I have 4 cell phones. And one of them is on the brink of Expiration, I mean, it almost now work, okay? And I have two others that I got from somebody, and those can't edit manuscripts. No, I got the last one I've got is the one that's editing the manuscripts, but it's not not going on too well so far because it's a phone, and it can only do so much and no more. It's not practically fully equipped with the skills or the tools to properly edit the book or to properly format the book and stuff like that. So the phone can't do much. So I really need a computer. I got a laptop in 2020, and I must admit, thanks to the Ministry of National Security, that laptop, I still have it, but it's giving a lot of problems. Right? There's a greeny things coming up on the screen. I can't pay to fix it because I don't have the money to do that. And if I talked to a technician about it, and they're telling me that if I'm gonna fix it, might as well I buy a brand new one, because that one is gonna cost a lot of money to fix. And I'm like, well, I can't afford that. I can't afford to buy one, and I can't afford to fix the one that I have. So I have to make the appeal for support for another laptop. So please, if you see this video and you can help, please help. If you want to be my manager, please reach out to me. The numbers. First number, 1-876-394-8380. Second number, 1-876-347-8766. I am waiting on a call from you, or anybody who see this video and you're willing to help. Even if you share this video with your friends, if you share this video around so more people can watch it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. Follow me on Facebook, follow me on Instagram, follow me on X, follow me on Google. Everywhere you'll see my contents and you will be up to date. And I'm looking forward to the support. I really need the support right now, and so I'm calling for help, and I share my story with you so you can know why I'm asking for help. So indeed, I need your help, please. I do need your help. If representative from the Star or the Gleaner decide to go back on their word and help me, I'll welcome your help. I'll welcome your help right now more than ever. If there are journalists from other media houses like CVM or even TVJ or any other channel, any other media outlet that desire to offer me help, I'm willing and ready to accept that help. Please come aboard and help me to shape my future. Thank you.